In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly about how my end of year experience was as a student studying maths, further maths, computer science and physics at A-level. But before all of that, let's start off with a story. It was a cold, dark night around 3 weeks ago, and I had my end of year physics exam coming up first. So it was coming up in like 2 weeks, and I had partially revised for this, but I was a bit bored. I was really stressed because I was doing an exam paper and I didn't really understand what was going on in the exam paper. So I was doing it on a website called Physics and Math Tutor. Suddenly an advert came up on screen. It was bright red, and without thinking too much, I clicked on this advert. This completely destroyed my revision session. I just clicked on the advert, and the advert said, "Test your IQ for free." Now, I would always been fascinated with the concept of IQ. So I go to a really good school in the UK, and two of the people in my year got higher IQs than both Stephen Hawking and Albert Einstein. And I was really, really fascinated. I thought that, and because I think I'm something, I thought I was going to have a really high IQ. So I click on this website, it opens up to this other page. I go, and it has 50 questions. So I answer every single question, one at a time. It takes me about 30 minutes, like half an hour of my day gone. I do this website, like IQ thing. I click on show result, and it comes up with 12. It comes up with the IQ of 12. Just to put that into perspective, toddlers have an IQ of 36. I have been given an IQ of sub room temperature by this website. This IQ of 12 comes into a category of literally mentally disabled. If you look at the IQ graph, it's like a normal distribution curve, and the people at the very, very back have the lowest IQs, and like a very, very, very like brain dead, like almost mentally like less abled, if I was to put it frankly, would be categorized as an IQ of around 30, and I got an IQ of 12. So if you want to watch videos by a person who has a sub room temperature IQ and studies maths, further maths, physics and computer science, subscribe to this channel. Welcome. So I had my end of years around a week ago, and this video is just going to be me trying to process that feeling, because honestly it was a very, very rocky and almost first time experience in my entire life. So I'd done GCSEs before, of course, and they had gone fine-ish, but A-levels are another step up. They are completely different from what you get to GCSE, and if you're wondering what like they are and like how they differ from GCSEs, I'm going to tell you in this video. So before I get into all of this, what are end of years? So end of years are exams you do at the end of year 12. Every year 12 student does this, and what basically they are, they're either tests made by your teacher, or they're like past locked papers that you're given, and these determine something called your predicted grade. So your predicted grade is a grade that your teachers assign you that is basically them saying like, oh yeah, I think this student is going to get this grade at the end of the year. So they're basically predicting you for the end of year 13 when you do your A-levels about what they think that you're going to get at the end of the year. And this is very important for your university like applications and stuff, because they look at these predicted grades because you haven't done your A-levels yet, and they're like, oh, this person is predicted an A, so he's probably going to get an A at the end of year 13, so we can either give him the offer or not give him the offer. So it is a pretty big thing. Some people even argue that they're more important than A-levels, and yeah, I was a bit confused going into them. So I'm going to basically briefly describe exactly how each and every subjects I went, and how I prepared for them, and how the exam went as well, and like the lessons I've taken from these exams, because honestly, exams will come and go. It's just the lessons you gain from them that's going to stay with you. So that brings me on to the first subject I took, which is A-level physics. If you know anything about A-level physics, it is very, very hard. Like I can't put into words how difficult it is, because it's very hard to describe. It's not like it's insanely difficult or anything. It's just very hard to put into words how difficult A-level physics is. So the content itself is hard. It's not like it's not hard, but that's not the main problem when it comes to A-level physics. It's because of the variety of past papers there are available online that really causes the problem. Because like if you go to like the 2018 paper, that paper is going to be completely different in the style of questions that they ask you compared to the 2019 paper. It's all about problem solving and how deep you understand the concept of physics. And a weird side tangent I want to go on is that a lot of people, when they do physics, they have this like really weird ego when they do physics, and I'm going to try my best to explain why. So imagine this, right? You've just done your GCSEs and you're picking the hardest A level. By far, not even close, A level physics is the hardest A level. And you are the type of person to take the hardest A level. What kind of person do you think that is? So would it be some like random Dave the Roadman down the road? Would he take A level physics? Dave the Roadman who failed every single GCSE? No, he wouldn't take A level physics. It's mainly the smartest, most hardworking, most academic students who take A level physics. And therefore, as a consequence of this, you're going to get a lot of people who have this like weird they have this weird like attachment to the grade itself. They have their self-worth attached to the grade itself. To put this into perspective, if you have this like weird your self-worth is attached to the subject, when you don't understand something, you're going to be less likely to actually ask in class or ask around, because you're going to assume that either you are going to look stupid if you ask the question, which is a fair point. Throughout your whole life, you've been the smartest, you've been the most academic person, and right now you don't understand this topic. You don't want to look stupid, right? Or you just have this like weird ego where you think that you already know something better than you actually do. And this is two things that if you can relate to this concept of, oh yeah, I've always been the most academic, I've always been the most like hardworking student, this is something I would recommend you try and work on before you take A-level physics or like any A-level science, because this is something I've seen so many times with people who take A-level physics. Because when you get into the flow of things, you're going to see people really fall off from GCSEs. You're going to see the people who got grade 9s, grade 8s at GCSE physics really fall off because of this one thing. Not completely because of this one thing, but this is going to be a very, very big factor personally that I've seen in A-level physics. So anyways, back to my actual end of years. I had practiced I've practiced pretty well for this A-level physics paper. The thing is with physics, every test I go into, I think that I'm underprepared. It's really weird, but I end up being fine. I don't know if this streak is gonna last, but yeah, I thought I was as prepared as I was for like other end of topic tests. I had revised all of like the practice papers online. I've done some like other exam board practice papers as well, and I've done it in a very structured way. If you want, I can make a video on that in the future. But basically, I got into the exam hall. Everyone was tense. It was like really like toxic. Not toxic, but like everyone was super tensed because it was the first end of year that everyone is doing. So we got into the exam hall. The invigilators took us like class by class. We went into exam rooms, and then we did the A-level physics paper. I'm not sure if it was AS or A-level. I think they're both the same. But yeah, it went fine. I think the physics paper, hopefully I should get a good grade, the top grade in this physics paper. There weren't many like very hard questions. I had gone online and tried doing like harder questions, and there were like very, very hard questions available online. I don't know if this was a paper that the teachers made up or they just took online, but it was fairly manageable, if you were to say, when it comes to physics. So yeah, physics, first exam, I thought that I was set. Like after this exam, I was actually gassed. I thought I'd patterned end of years. I thought end of years done, dusted. They're all good to go. I'm gonna get the 4 A stars. But little did I know about what was to come in the later subjects. The next most horrific exam I wrote was computer science. So computer science was I think I had 1 day in between my physics exam, and then I had both computer science and further maths A-level, the end of year, on the same day. Literally a 10-minute break between them. And this was the worst day when it came to my end of years, and I'll tell you exactly why. So before I even start explaining computer science, I had been performing an A-star pretty much throughout the year. We had like end of topic tests. I think that many sixth forms do this similar sort of style. They don't want to put all of the weighting in the end of year because people could cheat on the end of year. That has happened in previous years. So they want to like show that you're consistently getting the grade and not just going from like imagine you went from like an E consistently and then an A star in the end of year. That probably means that you've cheated somehow. I don't know how you've cheated, but you've cheated somehow, right? So I had been getting consistently like good grades. I think I got an A on the very, very first test we got on computer science. But then throughout the year after that, every test I've been getting pretty good. So I thought I was pretty prepared for computer science. I'd done pretty much the same thing I'd done for like the previous end of topic test. I've revised quite well for computer science. The only thing I was sort of worried about was further maths. I hadn't memorized a certain section of this further maths syllabus that you were meant to memorize, which was something called matrix rotations and transformations. So I hadn't memorized them, but other than that, I thought I was pretty prepared for computer science. So it's like 8:15 in the morning. I'm literally on this desk. I just got up like an hour earlier than when I was supposed to leave. I just brushed up on some like flashcards. I just skimmed through some practice questions. I thought I was pretty good to go. So I looked at the time. It's like around 9 o'clock. No, not 9 o'clock. I think it was around like 8:20 something ish, 8:30 ish. It was pretty much exactly the same time I leave to school every single day. So it wasn't that like different in timing. So I go downstairs, I sit in the car, and my dad comes with me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna drop you as well." And then I get out my like iPad in the car, so I'm just looking over matrix transformations. I'm trying to memorize them, and then we put on Google Maps, and then straight away like I sense something's wrong, right? As soon as I click start from like the to and then from, you have on Google Maps, you put in like where you are right now, and then you put the destination. As soon as we click start on Google Maps, the whole thing lit up in like red. The roads are just filled with red. I don't even look at the time. I just remembered seeing like the map being filled with just like red lines. Red basically means like traffic. And then it starts to sink in like, oh damn, we're gonna be late. Like, it's not even a joke right now. If you've seen my GCSE results video, like another weird like what do you call it? How do you call these? Like in sports they're called unforced errors. Like I've prepared for the exam, it's done, but it's just like random other effects, like random other variables that just come into my life, and then they like ruin the exam experience. So we're in the car, and then it shows that like we're gonna reach there in like 40 minutes. We're gonna reach there 10 or 15 minutes after the exam starts. So now I'm really, really stressed. I think my dad floors it in the car. We're literally like borderline speeding through cars. We're like overtaking like cars and stuff. We got onto the motorway, standstill traffic, like complete standstill. Yeah, it was like very, very heavily raining as well. I look at the Google Maps, and then the time is just increased. It's not even decreasing. Like the closer we go to the school, the time of the map is increasing. And at that moment, honestly, you would think I was going to be like very, very tense. You'd think I'm borderline in tears. I've been preparing for this like for a year now. This means my whole academic life has been leading up to these exams. This is going to predict me for A-levels. But honestly, I was kind of chill. I realized that I didn't have any control over the situation itself. So I reclined my seat, I put in my AirPods, and I'm listening to like Section 80 by Kendrick Lamar. I'm just chilling, right? Because what can I do? What am I gonna do? Cry, bro? I put my iPad in my bag, and I'm literally just chilling, like legs on the dashboard, and I'm listening to Kendrick Lamar. And yeah, my dad is tense, and yeah, we're just in the traffic. Finally, the traffic starts to move again. I think we're now like 20 minutes. It says like 20 minutes after the exam starts, but then we get into another traffic like stop. This was like completely, we couldn't have seen this coming beforehand. This was like some random like roadworks or like some accident that happened on the motorway. Well, I'm not even sure if it's an accident. It was just like completely filled with just traffic throughout our journey. And then yeah, time's just like on the Google Maps. The time till destination is not changing. It's like 20 minutes after the exam started. My dad phones up the school and he's like, "This is like an extreme circumstance. Can we do anything?" No reply from the school. So I'm like, what can I do, right? So I'm just chilling. Listening to, I think, the song I really liked from it's like Rigor Mortis. That's a song I really like from the album. I've never listened to Kendrick Lamar like hit a full album before, but I listened to half of it, and I didn't know Kendrick Lamar was such a good artist. Besides the point, that I was pretty much failing my computer science at the end of the year. But after that, we finally reached the school. It's literally nearly a half an hour. I can't remember exactly what time it was because I was just running, but yeah, it's nearly half an hour since the exam has started. I get to the front gates of the school and I run to like the main hall that we're meant to meet up before the exam. I go there, no one's there. Literally, it's completely filled with just like bags and stuff that students have left behind to go into the exam. So now I have the dilemma or the decision of either I could go in the exam room and look at them one by one and try to find which exam's mine. So the exam room had been posted on Teams, but because I'm an external candidate, I didn't know where like rooms were. I didn't know where like places in the school were because it's such a big school and I haven't been to all of the places. So I'm literally just like, I'm stressing. I don't know what to do. So I run all the way back to the front gates to the reception of the school. I go and ask the receptionist to tell me where this room is. She tells me it's like, I have to go back all the way to the other end of the school. And then I don't even like wait for her to finish. I instinctively just like run all the way back. I run around the entire like cafeteria block, and I get into the like one big corridor. And there, you know, the exam sign that they have that's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't like talk around these areas. I go past that. I'm not even sure if these are like end of years, GCSEs, A levels. I'm just like, I may as well. And look through the rooms to see if I can see any of my classmates. And then after I look through like 3-4 rooms, I literally go upstairs and stuff. I find my room. So I walk in, I literally walk in the exam room. Everyone's looking at me. The invigilator's looking at me. I'm like, can I, like, what do you expect me to do? Can I have my paper? And then the invigilator's like, yeah, fair enough. I have the paper, open the paper. And this is, by the way, a 1 hour, 45-minute exam. So computer science is it's probably the most time pressured A level I take. It's close with physics actually, but computer science, if I finish the exam in a normal like setting, I've done well in the exam. I've never ever gotten time to recheck my answers in computer science. And put that into perspective, I nearly missed out half an hour of that 1 hour, 45-minute time. So I go into the exam, I try to stay as calm as possible, but still, I have to like skip through sections of the exam. I skip a 6 marker, I skip like a couple of 3-4 markers. I get halfway through a 12 marker. So basically, I try to do the easiest questions first in the exam because, yeah, it's just not a good exam experience. I just go through the exam, halfly complete some questions, try to do as much as I can, try to stay calm in the moment. Again, I have nearly a half an hour disadvantage compared to everyone else. And then I flick back to the 12 marker. I write through like halfway through the 12 marker, and then exam stops. And then the invigilator is like, yeah, can I have your paper? At that moment, I was like, can I not have like an extra amount of minutes? But then I did have a further maths exam straight after that. So I was like, fair enough. Okay, worst case scenario, what happens, right? I'm not predicted for computer science. It's not that deep. I can go, because I've been performing at such a high level throughout the entire year. I've been performing like pretty much every other test, like very, very good scores. I could probably argue for an A star if I this was completely not my fault. I mean, it's kind of my fault, but like it doesn't show my academic potential at all, and was completely based on external factors. So this doesn't really show my academic capability. So I'm just like, okay, I could probably argue that with my teacher. This was not like a fair show of my academic capability. So I could probably just write them an email. So I'm just like, fair enough. I hand in my paper. Probably the worst exam I've ever done in my life. I'm not sure if I've done another exam that's worse than that. Actually, no. No, that probably is one of the worst exams I've ever done in my life, honestly. So I hand in the paper. I go out and I'm literally shell shocked from this exam. I'm just like, oh my god. And then I walk out and then everyone else is saying it's such a hard paper and stuff. I speak to one of my friends and then he says, oh yeah, when you came in the room, I had just completed like nearly half my paper. So if you think about that, I'm nearly like someone who's nearly completed half their paper. I'm that much of a disadvantage at this paper. So I'm not trying to make excuses or something. This is my fault as well. This is completely my fault. Honestly, I can't blame anyone except me. But it doesn't really show my academic capability. So spoiler, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened on that day, but spoiler alert, I went home, I got on my computer after my computer science and further maths exam, and I literally just wrote an email to my teacher saying something along the lines of, oh yeah, I got my parents actually email. My dad actually wanted to email my teacher, but he was like, this is like an extenuating, I don't know how to say that word, but extenuating circumstance. That sounds so weird. Extenuating circumstance that I just came in the exam hall late. I literally had a significant disadvantage compared to other candidates in the exam hall, and this does not show my true academic capability. So can I either have a reset of the exam, or could you like have this factor in when you're predicting me? And my teacher, he came back on the same day and he was like, yeah, I understand that this is like a extenuating circumstance. I will take this into account when I'm predicting Shamir. And we also have like a computer science exam, another one in around, I think, 7 days from today. Like at the time of filming this video, I have 7 days for another computer science exam, which will also go to my predicted grade. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I can hustle the A star if I pattern this exam, and also if I like show that I've been getting A stars throughout the year. If not, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? I did put in the effort, so I can't really ask for more. This is always meant to happen. Yeah, I didn't have any control over the situation. You could say, oh yeah, I was meant to foresee the exact. I should have got up at like 4 o'clock and checked the traffic. I should have foreseen that there was going to be road traffic in the motorway beforehand. I should have got up at like 5 a.m. and seen. But honestly, it's my fault. But this doesn't show my academic capability, so I'm still a bit salty over that exam. But yeah, what more can I do? I think I've done pretty well on computer science throughout the year, and I hope that when the teachers are predicting me, they'll give me like a fair shot at it, like at an A star. But I'm not too fussed if they don't. Anyways, back to the exam day. So this is the next exam, right? So if I just recap, I'm shell shocked from this exam. I'm literally like, I can't think of anything except this computer science exam. I know that I've only like half memorized these matrix transformations that I was meant to do for the exam, but I literally cannot think about anything except this one exam. I'm literally like, it's filling my brain, but my mates are coming up to me and saying stuff. It's just going through one ear and then coming out the other one. I literally cannot think of anything except this one computer science exam. So I go to the main cafeteria, I open up my iPad because I haven't memorized this section of the spec for further maths. So I just get out a piece of paper and I just blurt out the matrix transformations that I need to memorize for the exam. And I try my absolute best to just like block out anything to do with computer science. Try to block out any like memories. I'm trying to like be present and stuff. This is why I tell my viewers to meditate. I'm trying to like focus on my breath and just try and memorize these matrix transformations for my further maths exam. And then before I know it, I've just like partially memorized my matrix transformations. Boom, it's time to go. So I get up, I'm just like, bun this, right? If this comes up in the exam, I'm gonna have to make this up, bruv. What is further maths? Like, let's be honest, right? What is further maths A level? Like a deeply philosophical question. What is further maths A level? Like, what is it? It's just like maths, but further. It's like 2 plus, not 2 plus 2. It's like 2 times 2, bro. What's so hard about further maths A level, right? That's what I tell myself. Like, it's just maths, but further. It's just like, instead of doing your 5 times table, you do your 7 times table, you know what I'm saying? So I tried to delude myself into thinking that this exam is actually going to be easy, and this isn't going to come up. So whilst everyone around me is like, oh my god, it's further maths, blah, 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 I'm trying to tell myself that this exam will be so easy. It's going to be easy for me, even though I haven't memorized a section of the spec. I walk over to the exam hall, and then again, we're put into this massive hall where everyone's given like the further maths papers. And before I know it, I'm in a further maths exam after that horrendous computer science exam. And the way I would describe these questions are non-standard. That's how the people who made this exam also describe this further maths exam. This wasn't like a standardized AS further maths exam. This was like quite weird in the question styles, but I do think I did enough for this exam. I missed out, or like I sort of missed out. I didn't have time to do 1 7 marker, which was it was like a derivative, not a derivative. Yeah, it was like a derivative proof of induction. So you had to, if you don't do further maths A level, you won't understand a single word that comes out of my mouth. Actually, you may, but like you won't understand how to do it. But it was basically a proof where you were meant to you were meant to make a conjecture on the derivative and then prove that by induction. And I like proved I couldn't quite get the conjecture for the proof of induction. So I could get the base case, but I couldn't actually get the first conjecture you needed for the proof of induction. So I was showing my derivatives. I was like testing for the first derivative and showing my result for that. I was testing for the second derivative. I was showing my result for that, third, fourth. But I couldn't quite like manage to come up with the actual like proof or like conjecture that I needed to prove by induction. So what I ended up doing is literally, I know I had like 1 minute left. At this time, I thought I patterned the rest of the paper. I thought I did pretty all right in the rest of the paper. So I literally just wrote the proof of induction conclusion statement just for the proof of induction. So I have a stab at a mark, and then I showed the derivative testing. So for people who don't know what this is, basically when you do a proof, you're meant to have like a proof statement. You're meant to like saying, okay, you're meant to like have a statement where you state, I am going to prove this, and this. But I didn't have that thing. I didn't have that like statement. I didn't have the actual like expression that I needed to prove. So all I did was literally just write the conclusion statement because it's 1 mark on the mark scheme. But I'm probably not going to get that mark because like you're meant to have you can't prove anything without actually having the expression. But other than that, the paper was pretty good. There was one really weird standard like method of differences question that was disguised as like a sequences question. So a lot of people, what they did was they used summations. Again, if you don't take further maths, you won't know. Like this is just going to seem like gobbledygook. Yeah, you won't know what this means. But basically, there's a specific topic in further maths called sequences. And what they had done is they put like a sequences sort of like sigma notation in a question, but it was actually part of another topic called method of differences. But a lot of people didn't catch that. I don't know how I catch that. I literally like I looking back, the questions weren't actually very easy. Like they were quite hard questions. I don't know how I like came up with the answers, even though I was so tense from the computer science exam. But I came out of the exam feeling pretty happy. I only lost like a 7 marker, and then I made like a few silly mistakes here and there. So that may sound like a lot of marks missed. At GCSE, I would have been devastated if I came out of maths exam missing a 7 marker. But this is further maths A level. If you like further maths A level, the grade boundaries for an A star are something like 70%, and the papers out of 50, 7 marks isn't that much. So I reckon I got pretty good in this further maths exam. It's just the computer science that really put me off that day. So yeah, further maths, hopefully I did well. It's just computer science that went to trash. My last exam was a maths paper. So moving on to maths, I had 1 day in between my computer science and further maths exam, and I did this on the Wednesday, and then I had the Thursday to revise, and then I had the Friday Friday afternoon was my maths paper. So if you don't do A levels, in normal maths A level, it's divided into 3 sections. The whole, like, year 12 and year 13 maths is divided into 3 sections. There is pure. Pure is basically like all of your algebra. It's all of like the normal maths you would have done at GCSE. It's like the algebra you do something called calculus in pure, which is basically like graphs and stuff. And then you have a section called mechanics. Mechanics is basically mathsy physics. So if you take physics at GCSE, all of like the force diagrams stuff you do is all in mechanics A level, just because I don't know why they put it actually. You do more physics, like maths questions in maths than you do in physics. Like the mechanics questions in maths are harder than the ones in physics. But yeah, I don't know why they do that. And then you do something called stats, which is like economics. They're like graph stuff. It's all of like the probability stuff you do at GCSE. I honestly hate this section so much. I'm glad we weren't tested on it. But one thing that was weird is that our teachers covered all of the A level maths except statistics, which they started now, in 1 year. So in year 12, they covered all of A level pure and all of A level mechanics. And I think we were given like either one whole paper, or I don't know how they did it. Maybe they made up the questions, but it was like a 2-hour exam on all of year 12 and year 13 pure and mechanics math questions. So the grade boundaries for pure and mechanics maths test, like normally for our exam board, is about 70%, which is quite low for an A star. So when it came to preparing for it, even if you do like miss out sections of an A level paper, you still have a very high chance of getting an A star, just because of how hard the paper is. So I came into the math exam quite well prepared actually. I had a structured revision sort of thingy that I was following, and I made up myself. And this, honestly, in the maths exam paid off. I genuinely think I patterned. I genuinely think I smashed this exam. I think I missed out a 3 marker, and I may have got like a couple of other mistakes wrong, but it's out of 100 marks. So if you get around 80%, which I think I got around 80%, I should get the A star, because I don't think I missed out that many other questions. And when I came out of the exam, I asked all of the smart people, I got around what they got as well, which is pretty good. I think I prepared quite well for the maths exam, and I'm not saying it was easy, but I was proud of myself when I walked out of the exam. So yeah, that was my end of year experience. Maths went pretty well, physics went pretty well, further maths it was all right, and computer science was in a league of its own. So yeah, I have an exam in 7 days, which also contributes to my end of year, and it's all of like the programming stuff you do. So this was just theory stuff that we did in computer science. So we have the actual like digital programming stuff in 7 days time. So this is like your object-oriented programming. We're basically given like a massive Python file, and we're given questions on that Python file, and they're like, okay, modify this section of code to do this. And that's what we're tested on in 7 days. So if this goes well, hopefully I can get an A star prediction for my university applications. What do you think of this video? You've seen this person honestly just ramble on about how their end of years have gone. I've pretty intentionally said some statements in this video that are gonna, like, if I was watching this video in my non-academic arc, when I wasn't really like that hardworking when it came to revision, I probably would have clicked off this video just because of how it made me feel. I throw around the word A star a lot in this video, and I do that somewhat intentionally. Honestly, yeah, I don't think that, looking back now, how I was doing in GCSEs, maybe if you go on my community post, and then if you scroll down, you can see the grades I was getting at GCSE. So the fact that I'm capable of like even sustaining doing 4 A levels throughout the year 12 year, I think I'm very proud of myself, regardless of what grades I'm getting. Of course, I do want 4 A stars. Everyone wants 4 A stars. Everyone wants the highest grades. But I feel like just the fact that I'm doing 4 A levels with this YouTube channel, which is getting like thousands of views, which I'm literally getting paid from this YouTube channel. I have a job that I'm doing as well. I go to the gym every single day. I work at tuition center as well. So many things, and I have a social life, believe it or not. There are so many things I've juggled throughout this year that has genuinely made me proud inside. Year 10 or maybe even year 11 me would have looked at myself now and been in awe, because in year 11, I was just concentrated on academics in year 11 and I had nothing else. Like, honestly, like my social life was a bit shaky as well. I just had academics in year 11, and the fact that I'm capable of juggling all of these things in year 12 is honestly incredible, and I've made myself proud. I've genuinely shocked myself at how I'm coping with this. I'm also gonna, yeah, man, it's just been like insane looking back. I would have never thought that I would be able to handle one of these, like even physics. I never thought I would be able to do A-level physics, and now I'm doing that and 3 of the hardest other A levels as well. So even regardless of what result I get for these end of years, I'm going to be happy at the fact that I gave it my best shot. I really worked hard for these exams, and regardless of what I get, honestly, the results don't really even matter. I've proved to myself that I can be disciplined and work hard towards a cause. So I'm going to end this video with 3 main closing thoughts, 3 main reflections I have for myself, and anyone who's gonna go into year 12. I have this, maybe you can take from these like closing thoughts. Number 1, when I started year 11, a lot of people told me that I wouldn't be able to handle it. A lot of people said that 3 A levels is very hard. Getting A stars and 3 A levels is extremely hard. Doing 4 is beyond comprehension. There was this one guy I knew in year 10 or year 11, and he was literally the only guy I've ever spoken to, or like not ever spoken to, like only guy I knew who took 4 A levels. I didn't know anyone else who took 4 A levels in my close circle. Neither did my parents, neither did my other friends. Everyone was taking 3 A levels, and everyone was doing, I think, maths as one of their A levels, one like easy-ish subject, so easy-ish I say like sociology or something, and then another one of their A levels like maybe a science. I've never come across a person, even this guy, he did I think biology, chemistry, maths and further maths, and then he ended up doing dropping further maths. So literally I knew no one who did 4 A levels and carried on after year 12 basically. And despite that, I don't know why, but I still thought that I could somehow hack 4 A levels. So even though loads and loads of people did say to me that, oh yeah, you're not going to be able to do 4 A levels, you're not going to be able to get the good grades, you're probably going to have to drop one, you're probably going to do this, you're probably going to get a B or C in like further maths or something, I ignored everyone. And this may be rude, who cares? I ignored every single person, because in my mind, I thought that if I could go from the transformation of getting 4s and 5s at GCSE to getting 9s at GCSE, I could juggle this YouTube channel, do like fitness related stuff, go to the gym every single day, balance a social life, work, and my goal was to get the top grades in all 4 subjects, in the hardest 4 subjects at A level. And I can't say that I've gotten the good grades yet, but I do think that I've handled this extremely well compared to if I would have like dropped or taken easier subjects. Because I feel like a lot of people will tell you that you can't do something just because they couldn't do it. So an example is that I had a mate, right? And he was going into medicine. He was become a doctor, right? And his brother had failed the UCAT, or like admissions test for medicine, a couple of years ago. So his brother would constantly be telling him that he couldn't do like UCAT exam. He couldn't, like, there's no chance that he would be able to do the UCAT exam. And because of this like negative reinforcement, he failed it the first time. But then the second time, like, his brother would tell him the same thing. So he retook it the next year. But he told me that he, like, literally, he ignored everyone. He, in his heart and mind, believed that he could get a good score on UCAT. And then he completely smashed it. I think he got top 10th percentile in the entire UK. Imagine that. He failed, like, got a very, very low score in his UCAT exam. And then the next time when he retook it after his A-levels, he got top 10 percentile in the UK. Top 10% in the entirety of the UK. So that's one example of how a lot of people will project their own insecurities, that a lot of people will tell you that you can't achieve something just because they can't do it. But you're not them. I'll still remember to this day when one of my teachers told me at GCSE that I had no hope of getting above a 7 in it. And as soon as they said that, in my brain I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong. And I got a 9 in that subject. So as soon as other people said that, okay, you can't do 4 A-levels, it's too hard, instantly in my mind, I don't know if this is like a genetic thing, I don't know if this is something I've learned, but I was like, okay, I'm going to try and prove them wrong. And I can't say that I have, but I have handled it quite well. So the first main reflection is that don't listen to other people, like, at all. If you think you can do something, you probably can. Regardless of how obscure this is, regardless of how absurd it may be. If you want to take 10 A-levels and think you can get A stars in every single one of the A-levels, who am I to tell you you can't? Even if you failed every single GCSE and told me that, okay, I'm going to take 10 A-levels and I'm going to get an A star in every single one of them. Okay, maybe you failed every single GCSE. What's that that's not stopping you from then, like, completely locking in and getting good grades in your A-levels. Who am I to tell you that you can't do something because I can't do it? You know what I'm saying? This is the same thing with, like, fitness or even this YouTube channel. When I started this YouTube channel, I was speaking to a mate and then he was like, oh yeah, you won't get above like 50 subscribers because he couldn't get above 50 subscribers. So, like, I would make these videos, and honestly, if you scroll back to my old YouTube videos, they're honestly trash, man. They're so bad. I'm literally just like standing. I'm putting my phone here, and I'm just like yapping, and then every 3 seconds I'm cutting because I can't speak for more than like 3 seconds through the camera. And I managed to get a good level of subscribers. I thought that I was going to get above 1k subscribers, and I hit 2.5k. So this isn't just academic related. This is just like in general. Even in like bodybuilding and stuff, I used to be obese. I used to be so fat. So many people told me that I couldn't lose the weight. So many people told me that I would always be fat my entire life. Look at me now, bro. So yeah, don't let other people project their own insecurities on you, because they're not you. You can do whatever you want in your life as long as you put your mind to it. So that's the first main point I learned from these exams that I've done. If I seem tired, I really, really, really am. It's 12 o'clock and it's 12 a.m. and I'm recording, and I have to wake up tomorrow because I have like work. I have to go to Sky head office for work experience, but that's another story. So bear with me if I seem tired. But the second main thing that I learned from these end of years is that hard work will 100% of the time beat talent. I want to preface this with, I know what talent looks like, at least in the academic sense. I'm not going to boast, this may seem like boasting, but I got into one of the top, maybe even top 3 schools for maths in the UK, and maybe top 5 in the UK ranked like nationally. And I can tell you that some people in my class are genuinely insane. Like, I know some people just randomly in my class who just didn't even revise for the subject and then got number 1 in the country for that GCSE subject. I know some people in my further maths class that, without even the teachers explaining, as soon as they bring up the example question, the first example question for a further maths concept, They understand that and then can instantly answer every single question, or like every single practice question they're given for that one topic. The entire topic they understand from one slide. These people, you have to understand that even though if you watch my channel beforehand, I've told people that like, okay, like there's no such thing as like grade 9 students. You probably just have a bad self-image and you just have to visualize yourself as a better student. But there are inherently like people who just understand maths or English better than the others. Okay, this doesn't make you exempt. This doesn't mean that you can't get an A star, but there will be people who are just talented at the subject 100% of the time. With maths, like I told you, there are so many people in my class that just understand stuff like that. And I'm there, sub room temperature IQ, just sitting there trying to read the first line, trying to recap the GCSE topic, while everyone else has already understood all the like further math stuff. But I can tell you for certainty that hard work will always beat talent, like 100% of the time, especially when you come to A-levels. If you think that you're in your GCSEs, if you thought that like, okay, I'm like naturally smart at the subject, I don't really need to revise for it. When it comes to A-levels, you do have to put in effort to the subject. This doesn't mean that talented people can't achieve the grades. They 100% can. If you are very talented at a subject and then you put in the hard work that like other people who aren't that talented are getting, you will 100% beat like someone who's less talented than you. But I'm telling you that the vast majority of people who are talented, who are naturally smart at a subject, won't put in the work. They just won't. I've seen this firsthand. I don't know if this is like me being in my bowl, like me going to a grammar school and only like seeing that from one perspective, but I just haven't seen enough people put in the hours for the subject. And this is where a lot of people fall off at A-level, because you don't want to be that one. If you're talented in one subject, right, you're probably not like talented at everything. You're probably only talented in one subject. If you're talented at like maths, that will probably mean that you won't like put in as much work into maths. And then imagine if a concept or a topic came up that you weren't familiar with or that you didn't understand. Who would be more likely to get the good grade on this topic? The disciplined person who, even though they didn't understand the topic, has been just relentlessly working hard to understanding, doing practice questions for that topic, or the guy who's just like, they've like naturally understood everything. They're not that disciplined. They just understand maths, but then this topic comes up and then they just don't know anything, and they don't know how to approach it because their natural mind can't comprehend it or something. Who's more likely to get the good grade? It's the first person, right? Because they've understood how it feels to understand and just process a new topic. And this is the category I think I'm pushing towards. I'm not saying that I'm like the most hardworking student or anything, but I do think that I've given a significant amount of time just trying to improve my academic life. And just I've just been sweating like all areas of life. So even at the gym and stuff, I've been putting as much hard work as possible, even though I don't have like the best genetics. And it's the same with academics. Even though I'm not, I have a sub-room temperature IQ. I have an IQ of 12. Even though I'm not the smartest guy, I do need to read stuff again and again to completely understand stuff. I have put in so much hours that now I can look back and actually be fulfilled with the amount of hours. So even if I don't get the result right now, I would be happy just because of how I've revised. And this is the best feeling you can have. If you get the good grade and you feel like you've worked hard towards it, this is the best combination. If you get the good grade and you've not really worked towards it, that's an all right feeling. And then if you've worked really, really hard towards something and you haven't got the grade or whatever, then that's a better feeling, in my opinion, than not putting in the work and then receiving the result for that. Just because of, I don't know, it's just not fulfilling if you haven't put in enough work. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just unique. But yeah, that's my perspective on it. So hard work will always beat talent, and you can honestly do whatever you think you can do in your mind. The third and main reflection I have from this video is that you cannot control what you cannot control. I have learnt this like so many times. I learnt this in my GCSEs. If you don't understand what happened in my GCSEs, basically like for my economics exam, economics is, if you don't take it for GCSE, it's like a calculator based exam. You're meant to like write essays based on a calculator. And I didn't have my calculator at the time. It like broke or like I lost it. And then the calculator they gave for the actual final GCSE didn't work. So I had to guess every single calculation, like question. And then I left like 6 markers in the exam. And I was devastated after that exam. But I had some level of pride for that exam just because of how hard I worked for it, and because I couldn't control anything at the time. Okay, fair enough. I could have packed my bag, or I could have seen. Okay, this is more my fault than like what happened this year. But even then, I sort of understood that there are some things that I can control in life and some things I can't. Doing your revision, revising for a subject, being prepared, being stress-free, being like having your stress levels at optimal level is something you can control. You can control your stress level. You can control how you're feeling mentally as well. A lot of people say that you can't. I truly believe that you can, and I will be making a guide on that in the future. If you don't want to watch my guide or wait for my guide, go watch a guy named Andrew Huberman. But basically, these are things you can control in the exam. You can control the amount of revision you put into something. You can control like how you're feeling on the day. But what you can't control is other things, other meta factors, other external factors like traffic. You can't really predict that there's going to be a road closure on the day. You can't predict that there's going to be a traffic jam. You can't predict like what else can go wrong. You can't predict that you're chased by fucking Dave the Roadman down the road with a shank, who's trying to like bad you up on the day, so that like messes up your anxiety levels for the exam. These are things you can't control in the actual exam. You can't control these external factors. But if you learn the skill of just not caring about what you can't control and only focusing on the things you can control, I truly believe that this is something that is productive taking forward. And this is something that I will be learning from myself. I do think that I really need to improve in this skill. Sometimes I just like I think about things that I can't control way too much, but I do need to just concentrate on only the things that I can control personally when it comes to preparing for an exam, or just like other things as well. So this has happened a lot of times in the gym. I've been going to the gym for consistently, like pretty much every day, for about a year and a bit now. And one of my mates, he started the gym 2 days ago, and he already has a better physique than me. He already has like bigger biceps than me. And fair enough, okay, I'm meant to grind out. Genetics don't really matter, but like genetics do exist. But this isn't something I can control. I can't control my genetics when it comes to the gym. I can't control the fact that I'm brown skinned, right? So if I just completely go away, detach myself from things I can't control, and fully focus on the things I can control, which is training harder, training more optimally, eating right, then this will make me more happy. And then it doesn't waste my time. No wasted energy is gone to things that I can't control. I know I've rambled on about this like third point for a lot of time, but I want to end on this. A few weeks ago, I put out a post that on my community post. If you scroll down, you'll probably find it. But it was like I put something along the lines of like, "Oh, grades aren't that deep," and people on the comment section started spazzing out. They were like, "Oh no, grades are really really deep. Like your results mean everything," and they do to an extent. Actually, no. I don't think they do. Your grades don't really matter. And I know this is controversial or whatever, but think about it. Your actual result doesn't matter. It's the thing that striving for that result and the person that makes you that really, really counts. So imagine this, right? Imagine you have two students. You have a student who is taking 5 A-levels or 4 A-levels. They're taking the subjects I take: maths, physics, further maths, computer science. And you have another student who's doing like maybe 3 A-levels, but they're really, really easy, right? They're both aiming for good grades, but just because Okay, maybe this guy gets like 4 Bs and this guy gets like 3 As. Just the fact that the second person is aiming for higher grades, the person that taking 4 of the hardest subjects makes you or carves you into, is better than the result itself. I know this is really wishy-washy, but like, if you think about this, right, your grade isn't the actual thing that matters. The numbers or the letters on the sheet doesn't really matter. It's the discipline, it's the values, it's the time management, it's the stress management that you get from preparing for such a stressful exam that really counts towards your life. Because think about it, you can still become a multi-billionaire. You can still be the richest man in the world. You can still be the most successful person in the world if you fail your GCSEs or A-level, right? Like, if you fail your GCSEs or A-levels, it doesn't really affect your future that much. Maybe maybe if you're going into a specific field, it may. But like, for the vast majority of people, your GCSEs or A-levels won't really matter in maybe 2 years after. Like, once you go into universities, no one really cares, right? It's the self-discipline that taking hard subjects gives you that will develop you in the future. So if you look at very successful people, they always have discipline, they always have stress management, they always have time management. And if you take hard subjects and if you strive for these top grades, even if you don't get them at the end of the day, it's the journey over the destination that actually matters in the future. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Your grades, whatever you get, whenever you get the results, I'm gonna do a video showing my results for year 12, like my year 12 exams as well. But the numbers or the letters on the sheet don't matter that much. It's the destination, it's the effort you do, it's the effort you put into the striving of the higher grades that really counts for your future. I think I've rambled on for too long today. It's nearly 12:15 a.m. I'm going to end the video here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.